Welcome to the Courage to Live podcast. My name is Josh Bitsko, and I'm a retired police captain with 24 years of experience out of Las Vegas. Currently, I travel the country and I teach people about courage, resilience, and leadership. I'm joined by my co-host and wife, Jenna.
Hi.
And today's podcast, the beginning of our second season, right? Last season, we were able to do between the short Courage casts and the main episodes that you and I record, over 100 episodes. I think we were like 105.
Yeah.
In 105 days.
Very ambitious.
It was. We just have a lot to say and a lot we want to get out there. And I'm proud of us for doing it.
Yeah, me too.
You also notice we have upgraded our studio.
By studio, he means our bedroom. This is a corner of our bedroom. But we have these fancy little lights.
Yeah. Shout out to Jesse, who helped us set things up to try and improve the video quality and all that.
Yeah.
If you need a videographer, Jesse Reisdorf is excellent.
Yes.
So, our podcast today kind of leads into, we had a purpose for, and we really are passionate about what we're doing and for, getting the message out on resilience to not just first responders, but to everybody, right? And that purpose helps drive us. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But I think first you have a story that you're really excited to tell everybody.
Yes, I am. This has never happened to me before. So it's very flattering for me, but it was also the most awkward human interaction I've ever had with somebody. So if you guys have seen the show Dexter, his sister, Deb, she's a cop and she's very crass, she says the F word, probably every other word. And you wouldn't know it based on this podcast because I really have to watch my mouth, but I do use the F word quite frequently.
Yeah, you're crass too. I'm say it.
So actually, when my brother was watching the show, he called me years ago and said, "You are Deb. You are exactly like her." And so yesterday, Josh and I were at Costco. We're standing in line and I noticed this man and he's just like staring at me really intently. And it was actually super uncomfortable. So start putting stuff on the little conveyor belt. And then I look up and this guy's like right in my face. And he's like, excuse me, are you an actress? Were you on the show Dexter, the cop? Were you the cop? And I was like, no, but I've actually gotten that before. And he's like, oh, really? He's like, I thought you were her. And I came over to ask to take a picture with you. And he held his phone up like he was going to take a selfie. And he's like, but never mind. And then like pretty much ran away. And it was very awkward because he was very nervous. But also super flattering because I think she's very pretty. And I have been told that I look like her before, but to have somebody want to take a photo with me in the middle of Costco was another level of awkward.
He, like you said, he was so nervous.
Yeah.
Like handshaking. And even the lady checking us out was like, what just happened?
She's like, who does he think you look like? So we showed her a picture and she goes, you do look like her. And then she was like, he was very awkward and very nervous. And so, sir, if you're listening, thank you for the flattery.
We should have played into it. Yes.
I know. I kind of regret that now, but it took me off guard.
Yeah. End up on this stranger's social media.
Or worse.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I wanted to talk about, what we both wanted to talk about was finding your purpose. And, that can mean so much really when you think about it and like purpose and what's the purpose of life or anything like that. But I want to be a little more specific about it. And I think whenever you're doing something, whatever it is, to me, it's worth doing right. That's something my grandpa used to say to me. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. But when you're working, like you have let's say a position or a role, and it's just a grind, a lot of work. If you can find your purpose behind it, then that work seems lighter, right? I mean, it's still a lot of work. You're still tired at the end of the day, but really because you believe in what you're doing, you're more willing to do the work. And like for me, a perfect example is there was a time when I was at the police department and I got tasked with rewriting the policy manual that was, hadn't been updated. It was like a 900-page PDF, basically.
It was in Word, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It was in Word. And, I found like policies that police officers will not linger at a drive-in. Like, it's just like old policies that we had to get rid of. And it was really a grind. I took it, I put it all into a different program, had a lot of people helping me like, rewrite policies and revise policies. And it was just a huge workload. And in that time, I really didn't feel like I had a purpose. What I was doing was important, right? And I knew that, but it wasn't like something I believed in. So I still did the work. I still worked hard, but there was the one point in my career I really hated going to work. Contrast that to when I was a lieutenant and I was in the Las Vegas has a Chinatown area, and I was in working that area, and we had just so many like property crimes, like car break-ins. There were some person crimes too, like robberies and whatnot, and I wanted to get a camera project, like those police cameras that now you see with red and blue lights, but we really didn't have a lot of those off of the strip. And so I, couldn't get funding. So I kind of got the community to get involved. I was literally walking around and talking to businesses and, trying to sell this on them. And it was so much work, but I believed in it. And I was so excited that I was working 12, 13-hour days and all of that, but I was so passionate about it that it almost didn't feel like work. And the difference is I really felt like I had a purpose. I knew this would help that part of the community that really was getting victimized a lot. And there was a significant problem there. And I even got pushback from the department, because the department at the time was, they care more about person crimes than property crimes. And, obviously when someone's going to get hurt or victimized, I understand that, but you can't ignore property crimes either. And so I was trying to control the property or the person crimes in our area, but then putting a significant amount of effort into this. And, we finally got it up and going. And then I think car break-ins dropped by 50%, which, you were a crime analyst. That's a pretty significant drop.
Mm-hmm.
But, I reflected on those two different periods of my life, and I could probably give you 20 examples each. But how one felt just like almost torture, sitting in front of a computer all day, rewriting policy. And one was, I was passionate, I had a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, the goal of this podcast and what we wanted to talk about is how people can use that to decrease burnout, to, enjoy what you're doing, regardless of what it is. It's really trying to find that purpose.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think it's especially poignant at this point because it's the start of a new year, right? And everybody's out there, new year, new me. Everybody's grinding and hustling and, trying to do New Year's resolutions. And so I personally like this. I'm not really big on New Year's resolutions. I like this concept better because I think it's a way to constantly grow, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's it. You can find that purpose in, it's not just work. It's, in life, like, okay, rather than a New Year's resolution that you're going to follow for 2 weeks and then, I'll be back down eating Oreos and peanut butter at 2 a.m. This is something that is sustainable because, again, there's a why behind it. It's not just because I want to post on social media, new year, new me. Mm-hmm. And this is the year I'm going to get in shape. There's a reason behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether that is to get in shape, be more aesthetic, look better, be healthier. But again, and that's just one example, like finding the purpose behind it. So it can create big changes.
Yeah.
But some of the questions are like, well, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Is it just a one-time revelation, right? That like, oh, I'm doing this because of this. And then now work or whatever it is I'm doing is going to seem lighter. In my experience, it's not. It's something that you have to consistently, reflect on, go back to, think about, apply it. Yeah, you build it.
Yeah.
Piece by piece.
Yeah. And I think by doing that, you you're able to be a more resilient person, right? Like if there isn't a purpose and you don't know what that is, and I think you're going to struggle to complete whether it's a task or you know what I mean? It's like knowing that purpose and understanding how to find it and understanding how to build it is going to enable you to see things through, right?
Well, yeah. And, like I mentioned earlier, is I can tell you personal experience the times that I just believed in what I was doing with every fiber of my being. I know I didn't get burnt out.
Yeah.
I get tired, but there's other times in my career I was burnt out. And then what happened with that? I come home, I wasn't present. I'm, a zombie. Like I'm irritable around the people that I love and like all of those things. So definitely purpose will help you become more resilient and have the capability to experience hard things. Really just put all your effort into something. And then honestly, like even though I was tired, I would when that happened, and you've experienced it with me, when I really believed in what I was doing, I worked hard, but then I was like energized after.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like, maybe not like physical energy, but like mental energy. I'm wanted to share what I was doing and share, how excited I was about it. And so, yeah, I mean, there's more to just resilience than, you know, therapy and all of those other things and self-care and and those things are important, but there's more to it than that. And if you can find a purpose behind what you're doing, it just lightens the load that you carry.
So, what are some ways that people can do that?
Well, it takes a lot of self-reflection,
Mhm.
right? You have to start by noticing what in your life gives you energy, what in your work, what in your career, like what things do you love? What things are you good at? Not just good at, but do you want to be better at? And, start to focus on those things and find, tasks and goals. And, especially if you have the ability, like, when I was a lieutenant, I was able to put my energy of that area into what the problems that I chose. I mean, I had direction from above, right? Like, violent crime, you're going to have to really address and, but finding those things in those times of things that I enjoy, or even like self improvement, like what do I really desire?
Mhm.
And also setting goals, like what does my end state look like? Now I'm shifting more into like even your personal life. Again, whether that's fitness, whether that's learning a new language, whether that's, learning a new skill, finding something that gives you purpose in that and putting your energy towards it. But also like self-reflection. What do I want out of this?
Mm.
And you can even find that if you're in a position or a role or a job that maybe that's not your dream job. Maybe that's not exactly what you want, but you can find little things in there that give you energy. And then that can help tell you what your purpose is.
Mm. So, I think I think we're talking about two different lanes, right? You're talking about purpose and work. And if you have a why behind what you're doing, it makes the load lighter. But also, yes, that carries over. There's purpose in your personal life as well, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of bouncing back and
Yeah.
forth.
No, that's okay. It absolutely, I think if you're in a job that you hate, it is important to be able to find a why or find something that gives you purpose so that you can continue to push through until maybe you find another job or, maybe you get a different position or whatever. But I think understanding your purpose in your personal life will translate over to your work life.
Well,
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think if you're able to find your purpose personally, that's going to translate and guide the rest of your life, honestly.
Well, yeah. I mean, because if you can find that internally in your life, and it's been my experience that these types of things like finding purpose and building resilience, it's a skill too, right?
Yeah.
And so if you find something maybe okay, you have your personal time, you want to have a purpose in, like I said, whether it's getting in shape or whatever your goals are, and there's a purpose behind that. Well, that's a skill that you have to learn to stay focused on it, remind yourself of that purpose. And then that's a skill that you can carry over into, again, work. So, you build that skill set.
And I think too, I think if we understand how to build purpose in our personal lives, like I said, it'll translate over into every aspect of your life. So I think the first step of that, and the most important step, is something that we've talked about multiple times on this podcast, which is figuring out what your core values are, because those core values are going to drive your purpose, right? So finding out what those core values are, understanding them, learning how those can apply to your life and how that can help give your life meaning, and then taking action. I think action is such an important part of this, because if you're sitting around waiting for your life to have purpose, it's never going to happen. Mm-hmm. You have to act in order to give it that purpose, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's that decision, because it is a decision, is an important one. Like being ready for something, making a big change. It's not a state of being, it's a decision. And being able to take that risk and try something for the first time, or, really, I know so many people that have gotten so good about really just not caring about their job. It's just a paycheck or whatever, because it's easier sometimes to not care. It's easier to not take those risks because there's less fear of failure, mm-hmm. right? Like if I'm like that camera project I talked about at the start of the podcast, that could have failed in so many different ways. The funding could have fallen through. The technology wouldn't have worked because I had to get Public Works to run lines up light poles and all of that. And it was a huge risk, and it caused a lot of stress. But because, it was even just a project like that, and that drive to get it done aligned with my values, I was willing to take those risks because there was a purpose behind it. And, but if you don't make that decision to start to, find your purpose, to reflect, then it becomes very difficult to keep moving forward, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of Viktor Frankl's book. Did I say his name right? Right.
Viktor Frankl.
Yeah. I don't know why that sounded so weird. Man's Search for Meaning. I love that book. And I read it at a time in my life where I was really trying to figure out my purpose. I was very, I would say lost. I mean, I was, by myself. I had a career. But I didn't feel like I had a purpose. And so I was actually just pulling up one of my favorite quotes by him, which I think you already know it.
I think I know which one it is. Okay. I was going to say it, and then I was afraid I was going to butcher it. So should I try and say it off memory, and then you can tell me if I'm right once you find it?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. It's because I read the book. It was probably about 10 years ago. I've revisited it a couple times scanning it, but it's when somebody identifies the why, they can stand almost anyhow or something like that.
Those who have a why to live can bear with almost anyhow.
Much more eloquent. Viktor Frankl put it much more eloquently than my poor memory.
Yes.
But yeah, I love that quote. Yeah. And I've thought about it so many different times. And that why is purpose. It's your purpose. That you call it your why, call it your purpose, call it what drives you.
And I think it's easy too, especially as women, to really get caught up in, my purpose is being a mother. That might be true, but also I truly believe that, everybody was sent to this earth with talents with a purpose, with meaning to help other people. That's what I believe. And so it's, yes, being a mother is important, but you do have other talents and meaning outside of that. And so or same thing, like when we were working at the police department, I think people sometimes build their identity and their purpose on what their career is or being a mother. And I feel like it's really easy to lose yourself in that and lose purpose. And so finding those core values, what you truly, truly believe and speak to you, taking action, making choices based on those core values. And I also think using your talents and the things that you're good at to serve other people. And, our purpose, our why behind this business has always been to help people. But the way that you do that is through, you have to share your trauma over and over and over again. But I will say that when we've had the opportunity to see how this business, how your story, how it impacts people and helps people, that truly is our why. And it really helps continue to drive us forward. It's why we haven't given up. Yes, it is the way that we're providing for our family, but it also, when we're able to tangibly see how your story has helped somebody, it helps reinvigorate that passion for this business all over again. Like, I never feel like this is work. Well, sometimes I do. That's not true. Most of the time I don't.
No, but I get what you mean. I mean, it's not the highest purpose for me is serving other people.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, do we work hard? Yes. Does it feel like I'm sitting at a 9-to-5 plugging away for some company or a police department? No. So, I get what you mean by that. But yes, we do work really hard on this. But again, there's times or most of the time it feels lighter because there's a purpose behind it. I can teach a class and to 300 people. And, you're teaching large groups. I'm getting like interactions and nods from the class as I'm telling my story and talking about, how to build resilience and how to manage difficult emotions and, all of that. But I'll tell you, one of the difficult parts or the easier parts of it is after that class, I've had people come up to me and, hey, this really impacted me. I'm going through this. And it's those experiences like that that really have, shown me that purpose and keeps me moving forward. Because no, it's not hard to go tell that story, all the different stories and things I've been involved in over and over again. It's hard, but because I know that it helps people, it lightens that load. But it's also been a journey. Remember the first couple times. There was this, like, the very first time I was super nervous. We were in Maui.
It was also in a conference room with like 5 people.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah.
Look how far we've come, honestly.
Really? Yeah. The first class did for free. Actually, not even free. We paid.
Yeah, we lost money on that
one. To now, we've taught at the White House, taught at, to rooms of 2,000 people, like conference room of 5. So that first time I was really nervous. I don't think I really got emotional, but once the nerves subsided, it was really hard to continue to tell the story. And it still is. I mean, I've done it, upwards of 100 times at this point. But it has gotten easier because the purpose has become so much more clear.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just really through those little moments. And sorry, I get a little emotional talking about it, which is surprised me. This a little emotional, but it's those little interactions with people where you see the power of what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And how, gosh, when he cries, I cannot not cry. And how meaningful is that? That seeing your purpose, watching it play out, seeing it impact people, like what more could you ask for in life? I mean, that's the whole point I think we're trying to get across in this podcast is like finding your purpose really helps give so much meaning to your life. And it's so, to recap, figuring out your core values, taking action on those, making decisions based on those, serving others, getting outside of yourself and serving others. And then I think lastly, knowing that your purpose can change constantly. You mentioned it earlier, but constantly reflecting, constantly building on that and knowing that it can change, it can grow, it can be different, but really having that self-reflection to continue to build on that.
Well, yeah, it can change, and that's okay, because guess what? As you age and gain experiences, you change. Right? Like my purpose for decades where it was really serving the community. And after retiring and doing, what we're doing, it's now, serving first responders and serving people that have leadership roles and, trying to educate them based on my experiences. And so that shift happened, but I changed. I retired. Like, my life looks drastically different now than it did 5 years ago, than it did 10 years ago. And so through that reflection process and seeing what is my purpose today, and, really, I think just keep going.
My favorite phrase. This one's getting you today.
I don't know. Maybe it's just a, busy day, a lot going on.
No, I mean,
but also
what about speaking on purpose and finding it? What do you think makes you emotional about that?
Well, I think that a big part of it is, I'm proud of us. I'm proud of what we're doing. And it's just so different to focus on, the why. And I just know how important it is, and, I'd love to say, listen, I think we looked at the stats, almost 10,000 people saw our class last year. Love to say all 10,000 walked out changed, but, they all probably got something out of it. But, if a 1, 2, 3 at like really just like save them, then it was all worth it.
Well, I do think that's what's contributing to all of these emotions is, so Josh taught a class last month and this guy came up to him, younger guy. He's a police officer, but he shared with Josh some really hard experiences that he was going through and just asked Josh for help. Said, I really need help. So Josh was able to call his therapist and Josh's personal therapist. His therapist was able to find a good therapist for this guy in the city that he lived in. And so Josh told him, I'm going to be here tomorrow. Come back and see me. I want to give you a book. So the kid came back, and I say kid, he's probably like my age, but whatever.
He's a little younger than us.
Okay. But. So he comes back the next day and he said, hey, I just want you to know that you probably saved a life last night. So I think that's probably contributing to some of these emotions, is knowing that purpose is saving lives, honestly. And not to say that everybody's purpose out there has to be to save somebody's life, but it's, I think, knowing and understanding your purpose it's so meaningful. And I think when people don't, it's easy to feel lost. It's easy to feel selfish. It's easy to feel like there is no point of life, right?
Yeah.
And so really understanding that purpose and being able to use that to impact other people is huge.
Yeah. No. And like I said, it's the story you just told. It's being proud of how far we've come. It's also knowing how far we are going to continue to go with this. But so, yeah, I mean, find your purpose, and it doesn't, like Jenna said, it doesn't have to be saving lives, but you can find that, and it will lighten your load,
Change your life.
change your life.
Yeah.
I agree.
Good job.
You too.
We're back, baby.
We are back. We are back. Well, thank you for listening. If you liked what we talked about today, there's more in my book, The Courage to Live. It's available on Amazon. And if you like the podcast, please share it with a friend or subscribe. Leave a comment if it's a good one. And
yeah, that's it. No negative.
Yeah, no.
Not like that guy Tim, who was very fired up about one of our episodes. But
yeah.
So Tim, I hope you're having a better day.
Yeah, I hope you like this one, Tim.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you for spending your time with us today.